Hey you guys, my name is Miss Gwen and I'm going to be working with you for the next 7 videos to make some amazing art together. I've been partnered with Mr. Soto now for 7 years. 7, sort of strange. And we've done a lot of really great things, I think, within, basically working 3-dimensionally, creating things, and what that means is creating things that you can walk around, you can oftentimes touch, so that's pretty much the type of work we're going to be doing as well. He wanted me to tell you a little bit about myself since we're not going to have a chance to meet and interact other than through these videos. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be in the classroom, which I really wish I could be. I think it would be a lot of fun, but unfortunately I can't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to make the best out of this. And so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself really short, and what that is I have been a professional artist my entire adult life, which is just about 30 years, and 20-ish years. And anyways, I was trained as a painter and a photographer, and from that I went into theater. And I was a scenic artist for years. I also did set design, which is I designed the sets that were created that the actors performed on, and I did that in people's homes. I worked doing restoration work for really cool old theaters, and doing creating faux mosaic for universities so that they could put it in their towers to impress people with their amazing mosaic work that they had. Just all different sorts of things of that nature. I then went into working with companies that wanted really cool windows for their retail shops or for their interior spaces, so when people would go in and you're in this really cool store and they have all this amazing, stuff that's up, and you're like, this is such a cool place. That's the type of thing that I did as well. So I have a very broad spectrum professionally. It's all hands-on, 3-dimensional, and it's usually very large scale. And my personal work has reflected that. Almost all of my personal work, my professional personal artwork has been large scale. It's been what's considered installation art, it's 3-dimensional. It's temporary because it is designed in a specific location, so people can interact with it by moving through it, or if there's elements to it that they can touch or literally interact with. That's part of the art piece. What I'm doing now is very different than that. It's world building. It's creating a moment that people can get lost in, much like my large scale personal work I did, as well as all my professional work that I did. But it's doing it very small, 2D. There's a broad spectrum of what I do, and so I approach art and the art that we're doing based on the theme or the idea of what what we're exploring. And I try to figure out in my own work, what is it? It's oftentimes, what is it about this that I'm so interested in? What am I trying, what's the point? What am I trying to get across? What am I trying to work out? I always ask a lot of questions, and I explore a lot of different aspects of whatever it is that I'm working on before I start creating, because it informs every choice I make. And that's what I'm going to be expecting of you guys too. And we're going to be doing this together. And what we're doing in this, with our unit together, is we're going to be talking about snakes and our assumptions about them and what we know about them, the reality about them too. assumptions, reality, and then we're going to figure out what they are to us. And we're going to create our own snake skins and our own snake masks, and with those discoveries in mind. Okay, so I'm calling this the good, the bad, and the dangerous, because we're going to be talking about snakes, and that's sort of how we see them, right? It's dangerous. Take a moment, close your eyes, and just think about a snake. Think about the little tongue coming out. Think about the little slithering by, the little movements. Think about coiling, tightening, constricting. Think about the fangs. They're not a warm fuzzy. They're not something that most people have great feelings about. Words to describe them are sort of the same. They're all sort of negative. Why would that be? Why do we have such negative feelings about these creatures? Well, there might be some reasons for that. How many of you watch Disney films? How many of you have seen them? I'm sure every single one of you have. I know I have. I want you to try to think about every snake that you've ever seen in a Disney film. Has there ever been a good one? I would have to say no. I would have to say every snake that I've ever seen represented in a Disney film is a villain. They're bad. They're deceptive. They're conniving. They're out to basically harm and take advantage. They're not nice. And it's not just Disney. How many of you know Harry Potter? I mean, I'm assuming most of you have heard of this book, heard of these movies called, Harry Potter with Hogwarts and wizards and all that. I mean, if not, I'd love to tell you all about it. But think about who's the villain in that. Voldemort. What does he look like? What's his familiar? Snakes have a really bad rap. And there's aspects of that can make some sense. And it goes deeper than just even modern, right? If you're, think of the Judaic-Christian traditions and stories within that belief system, within the creation myth, has snakes as the villain. They tempted Adam and Eve for knowledge. Oh, you want to learn? Hey, you want to know about this? Here's this apple. Go ahead, take a bite. It's okay. And they're like, sure, yeah, I want to know. I'm interested. So they took a bite and they got kicked out. They're tempters. They're conniving. They're manipulators. All very negative things. And it goes very deep. But not all cultures see them. Not all people see them that way. And that's something that if you do see them in a negative light, I'm going to challenge you to see the other side too. And what that is right here in the Americas. Right here in the Americas, the indigenous populations all have very different ideas about snakes, but one thing that they have is called, whenever you'd have groups come together, is the snake dance, and it's a dance of renewal. It's a dance of life. That's very different, right? You also have the Hopi, and they have their snake dance. There's these amazing images of the dancers with the snakes in their mouths as they're dancing, and then they place the snakes to the 4 cardinal directions, north, east, south and west, right? And they release the snakes so that they can go out and they can find water and bring water to the pueblo, to that dry landscape, so that it can give life to them for that season. That's not a bad thing. Or the Hindu tradition. They have Shiva and Kali are directly associated with snakes. Shiva, he has snakes on his arms, live snakes on his arms, and on the crown of his head. And it is believed that snakes are the primordial creative energy, that they are directly related to the primordial creator that allows Shiva to have his form. So basically, snakes give him the power to create and the power to destroy. Without them, he wouldn't have a form. And with Kali, it's very similar. You also then have, within a lot of Asian traditions, you have the Naga. Naga in Sanskrit means serpent, but there is a god, Naga, the snake god. You also have not the Naga people, which are, there's an actual, and what's really funny is there's an actual group of people who are called the Naga people. But in myth, the Naga people were this fusion of both snake and human. They were sort of, well, I don't know if they were human. They could take human form, right? So sometimes they would take the form of like half human and half snake, and sometimes they'd be all snake or they'd be all human. In Egypt, you have the cobra that would be on the pharaoh's crown. Yet there's always that cobra, and it's a goddess, right? So it's seen as a protector, again, about creation and fertility, water. So it's interesting that in a lot of different cultures, snakes aren't seen as bad. There's some good to them, right? And that good is associated with transformation, creation, and healing. Very different than what a lot of us think of them now. So they're not all bad, and they're not all good. They're somewhere in between, sort of like us. So it's important to think of why we have the impressions of things that we have. Because if you have a bad impression about this creature because of some aspects of themselves that might not be so great, you might be overlooking the good aspects in them too. Just like people might do with you. When you show bad behavior, people might just focus on that and not the good. I know I've had that happen to myself a lot. So it's important to see all the sides so that you can make a more informed choice when you're creating your snake. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna make this happen? Well, first we're going to basically look at how snakes relate to you. And we're gonna do it with materials that you have at home. We're gonna make this really simple. I'm not there to distribute materials, neither is Mr. Soto. So we have to work with what you have. And it's important for me to have some idea of what you have. So we've come up with a really basic list. And in this basic list, I just want to know, do you have access to it or do you not? That's it. That's all I want to know. Because we will be creating our pieces based on what you have access with. So when I'm making the demos, I will only be making them with materials that I know that you have. Now, some of you might say, but Miss Gwen, what I have, someone else might not have, or what I don't or someone else may have what I don't have. That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna come up with multiple demos of the same thing to give you ideas about how you can make your snake skins and your snake mask. It's a little bit different. You're not just gonna be given a template of this is what I want you to do. We're gonna be creating it together, and they're all gonna be very different because of that. And that's our really exciting thing. That's really innovative, and how fun is it gonna be for us to share this with one another? The have-tos that are the art part of this, that are the part that, the learning part, are going to be about line quality and line expression. Making a line, what's the big deal? We'll talk about that. There's different ways to do it, and the different ways that we do it can express different things when people see them. And the way we combine them together based on shape language. What's shape language? Well, we'll talk about what shape language is. But the way we combine the lines with the shape language to create a pattern. Now what we're doing is we're creating your own personal visual language that needs no words, because what people see basically will convey your feelings, your emotions, the overall thoughts and feelings that you want to give out to other people based on the skin that you're shedding and the skin that you're now wearing. So that's sort of how we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it based on really questioning and looking at snakes, snake behavior, ideas we have about them, and about ourselves too. Because we have a lot to learn from these creatures, and these creatures can teach us a lot about ourselves. And that's how I'm looking at this. Okay, so let's talk about your homework. Yeah, you got some homework, it's true. Hopefully it's not so bad though. Hopefully this is gonna be fun homework, because this homework is for your own discovery, your own interests. It's not like something you're gonna be graded on. It's something to help propel your curiosity and your interests. That's how I'm looking at it. The first is the material list. Okay, that's not probably gonna propel your curiosity or anything like that, but it's important for you to do. It's important for me to have, to be able to look at. The other thing is that I want you to, I'm gonna have a link with some videos, right? On these videos, they're just really simple. One of them's about snake behavior, and it's sort of interesting. And the other one is talking about the fact that snakes got toes. Did you know that? Snakes got toes. They actually have little toes, because they used to have legs. They don't have legs anymore, but they still have toes. Fascinating. It's a really cool video. Take a look. Really interesting. Brings a whole new perspective. Little interesting tidbit. And the very last thing is I want you to reach out to, could be your brother or sister, could be your parents, if you have extended family, could be your extended family if they're living with you, if you have access to Skype, to FaceTime, a phone call. Old-fashioned, be old-fashioned, do a phone call. Contact your friends. I want you to reach out to other people right now, and I want you to ask them about snakes. See what their opinions are. Most people might not, most people might be like, ooh, snakes, don't like them. Nope. Some people might be like, yeah, they're cool, I like snakes a lot, they're neat, yeah, they got the fangs, they slither. I mean, you're gonna get all sorts of different reactions. But what I want you to do is I want you to go a little further than just that and ask them why. Why do you feel that way? Start a dialogue. Record. Just, if you either take notes about it and record it so you can talk about it perhaps in the classroom with Mr. Soto and everyone else, or just keep it for yourself. And then think about like, wow, okay, that's interesting. Do I feel the same way about them? Do I not? What is that? There's no right or wrong with this. This is just curiosity. This is more, it's thinking about them. It's considering how other people perceive them, which will inform just choices when we're making them over how you want your snake to be perceived. All right, so I think that that's pretty good for this video. Hopefully it's not going to be too long, we'll find out, but I just want to say I'm really excited to be doing this with you, and I really look forward to being able to have this back and forth and to sort of see what you guys are going to create at the end. Maybe we'll figure out a way, maybe there'll be a way that we can figure out through comments to go back and forth. I don't know, but just know that I'm really excited about this, and I hope you are too. And I will see you next week on the next video. Okay, peace everyone.